Hey you guys, good morning. How are you feeling today? See, today I'm all wearing square clothes because today we're supposed to celebrate the June festivals. This is something very Brazilian. Of course, we wouldn't be celebrating the June festivals if we were not here, but it's so much fun to be able to enjoy the date, even though we're not enjoying it the way we are used to doing, right? We're not dancing and having parties, but still, it's nice to remember that this is the time for the June festivals, and as much as we can, we have to enjoy and make sure these dates are part of our everyday lives, right? I'm also considering we should do something for the 4th of July, by the way. How could we celebrate 4th of July? This is an idea. Hold that thought. We're going to consider that, okay? Anyway, good morning. My name is Alhandra, in case you don't know it yet. And I'm happy to be here with you guys. Today, we're going to continue studying the unit that talks about big cities, big challenges. We're going to correct our homework. We're going to move on to study the modal verbs, and I hope you guys can participate as much as possible in our class, okay? Today we have in our team Gabriel and Patricia. They are here to assist us, so if you have questions, if you don't understand something, if I am talking too fast, or if I'm talking too slow, you guys can let her know, and then we're going to do all the necessary adjustments, okay? I'm excited to be here, and TGIF, right? We always meet on Fridays, and let's get started, okay? If you guys have any questions or anything you want to add, let Patricia know, and she will tell me, okay? So anyway, our unit talks about big cities and big challenges. And we've been discussing this topic for the last 2 Fridays, right? So we are aware that big cities face problems such as pollution, traffic jams, the stress. Also, we have sustainability issues, and what else? Crowded spaces, problems with transportation. But despite it all, the urbanization process is part of the economic success of countries. And this is something we read in the first text. Remember that due to urbanization, countries have become richer. So it's a process we can't run away from, but that we have to organize. Otherwise, we're going to have places where you can't live, right? So anyways, this is the topic of our unit. We've listened to mayors around the world talking about the problems of big cities. You've read a couple texts by now about the issue. And today, we are going to continue to use a platform where I can get to hear you guys. So in the sense of having communication, of going back and forth, of you guys answering me, we're going to use a platform that we used last class so that I can get to hear you guys, okay? Anyway, let's get started, Gabriel. So, you guys had homework for last class, right? Which were exercises 1, 2, and 3 on page 76. I am so proud and happy because I've got one reply. It was only one reply, but it made me so happy. Thank you so much, Guilherme, for sending the response to the homework. Guys, you should do the same, because this way, I don't have to imagine your answers. I can get to know what your responses were. Okay? So a round of applause to Guilherme for sending the answers to my email. I was so happy. And let's make sure next class I get more homework responses. Okay? But anyway, Number one, exercise 1 on your homework was meant for you to make a list of words that you found in the text but that were unknown to you. So words that were unfamiliar to you. Maybe you didn't find the text that hard and maybe you understood everything. But still, there are words that are less common. So you would have to choose 8 words, find a synonym for those words, and then write the translation. One thing that's very important, and it is one of the strategies, one of the abilities that BNCC wants us to introduce to students, is the ability to use online dictionaries, right? Nowadays, you no longer need to have a printed version of a dictionary because everything you need, you are able to find on the internet. So, as a suggestion, I was going to tell you that there is a dictionary that you find on the website www.dictionary.com. It is a very good resource, and whatever you type in, they'll give you not the translation because it's an English to English vocabulary, but it's going to present to you the meaning of the words. Also, in this website, on onlinedictionary.com, you can find a thesaurus. A thesaurus is a dictionary for synonyms. So you can find the thesaurus through dictionary.com, or you can simply type www.thesaurus.com. So like I said, a thesaurus is a dictionary of synonyms. Instead of presenting a definition, it's going to show to you a list of synonyms for the word. Okay? But of course, most non-printers, presses, they have their own dictionaries online. So Cambridge, Oxford, Webster's, they all have dictionaries online that you can easily access. Okay? I'm sure you guys know how to do it. And at the level you are, at the level of English knowledge that you guys have, you should no longer be looking for translations. You can pretty much look for English to English dictionaries, and it will suffice. You guys will be able to understand it. Okay? But anyway, back to the topic, back to the homework. You had 8 words that you had to find in the text that were unknown to you or less familiar to you, and then you would have to find 8 synonyms and 8 translation to those words, okay? Because I had Guilherme's answer, I'm going to show you Guilherme's answer. Woohoo! Gabriel, can you move on, please? Okay. Before we see Guilherme's answer, you guys are going to join this website like we did last class, right? You are going to join this website either through the address or through the QR code. And there, I want you to write 1 word, 1 synonym, and 1 translation that you used for your homework, okay? So that we can discuss those words specifically. Access this website through the address or through the QR code. I'm going to give you guys 40 seconds to do so, okay? Then type in 1 word that you found in the text with its synonym and its translation, okay? If you have any difficulty, let us know through the chat. The thing about using this resource is that I can see your messages in English, and it's easier for us. But if you can't use it, let Patricia know, okay? 30 seconds. Gabriel, deixa só a tela. Patricia, alguém disse alguma coisa? Não? Replies. I'm feeling lonely here. Are you there? Are you listening to me? Did you understand what you're supposed to do? Could you access it? Let me know. Don't leave me hanging here. Gabriel, tu pode voltar para aquela tela que tem o endereço? Que tem o código? Okay. Are you guys having any trouble to access it so that we can correct? Say anything on the chat so that I know you guys are there and you are alive and you're listening to me. Anything will do. Were you able to access it? Are you having any difficulty? Did you do your homework? Help me out here. I'll give you 20 extra seconds. Otherwise, I'm just going to correct the homework. Nothing, nothing? Gabriel, can you go back? Volta para aquela tela da internet? Okay. So, move on. Pode voltar para... Oh, I got it! Thank you so much! Okay, so I have one reply now. The word that you chose was the word policies, right? Which is the plural form of the word policy. Perfect. And it can be considered a false cognate, right? Because it reminds us of police, but the pronunciation is completely different, and so is the spelling. So we have policies. As a synonym, you wrote down plans. Perfect. And then as a translation, you have conduta, política de ação. Excellent. So whenever you have rules, standard rules of behavior for a certain situation, you have the policies, right? So the school has policies. Our classes have policies. Whatever, maybe in your house you have to follow certain policies, some standard procedures. Very good. I got 3 answers. Thank you. I was starting to feel lonely and like you guys weren't listening to me. So, the other one I have is accounting. Accounting. As a synonym, the word we got is representing. And then as a translation, representando. Very nice, right? Next, we have cross-sectoral. Very good. Intersectorial. And in Portuguese, it would be intersetorial when you have a situation that goes through different sectors of society, of politics. You have a cross-sectorial situation. You can have a cross-sectorial policy, right? Guys, can I consider that you didn't do your homework? Should I wait for any other replies? Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to leave this page working because as we move on to different activities, I want to get back to this website so that I can see other replies from you, okay? So, since we have no other vocabulary answers, I thank you 3 for answering there. And I'm going to leave this page open because we're going to get back to it with other questions, okay? Thank you, guys. Gabriel, pode voltar lá para a apresentação? E mudar para a próxima? Não, lá é a mesma. Próximo slide. Thank you. Okay. We're going to get to Guilherme's answer, okay, Guilherme? Just a second. But anyway, number 2, you had to say if the sentences were true or false according to the text. Correct the false ones. So, I have already there the answer, okay, so that you guys can check if you got it right. But anyway, letter A says, in spite of the increase in population, climate in the future won't change. The sentence is false, and it's even kind of obvious, right? We hear so much about weather changes, about greenhouse effect, and the fact that we are experiencing global warming. So of course we are experiencing changes in weather. So this sentence is false. The expression in spite of is the same as saying despite, right? In Portuguese it would be apesar, okay? So we have, in spite of the increase in population, climate in the future won't change. So this sentence is false because the author of the text says, with 2/3 of people expected to live in cities by 2050, and with urban areas accounting for 70% of the emissions that are propelling the planet into a climate unknown, the challenge is both clear and urgent. So, as we have more people living in cities, and because cities are responsible for most of the emissions that are changing the weather, that are causing the weather standards to vary, of course, we are going to have problems with the weather in the future if we don't change our actions, right? Next sentence says, Marina Otto thinks the way cities are planned nowadays must be reviewed soon. It's kind of a consequence, right, from the previous sentence, from the previous statement. It's true. Throughout the text, the author highlights the necessity of reviewing the way our cities are planned nowadays. I even think that saying that our cities are planned, it's an overstatement, right? I don't think we really get to plan the cities. They just kind of happen. And this is what causes most of the problem. If we had proper planning, we would decrease the problems we face. But the thing is, cities aren't really planned. They kind of happen. People come, houses are built, and all of a sudden you have crowded areas with lots of pollution, right? Even smaller cities, even when we travel in the countryside of our state, we get to see that cities that used to be much smaller are getting bigger, and they're not prepared for the growth. Then you have pollution, people put garbage everywhere, and whatever. Anyway, C, improving public transportation could prevent the premature deaths of millions of people. This is interesting, right? During the text, the author does mention that good public transportation could do so much for the well-being of people. Because with public transportation, with quality public transportation, you don't need as many cars. And if you decrease the number of cars in the city, you would have so much more quality of life. So anyway, this sentence is true, and the reason is in the third paragraph of the text, the author states that actions such as doubling bus network coverage and frequency in cities could prevent the premature deaths of over 1 million people per year from air pollution and traffic accidents. So for both reasons, right? One is that traffic does cause lots of accidents with fatal results. And the second one is that the air pollution also causes its damage. It's interesting to see that in some cities around the world, despite the fact that they are huge, people no longer want to buy a car because even parking the car would be such a stress, right? In New York, one of the greatest problems is having where to park your car because the streets are jammed and houses and apartments don't have space for parking. So sometimes having a car can be such a problem due to parking. And when you have public transportation, quality public transportation, and public transportation that covers most of the city, not having a car becomes an option, right? In some other countries, like Italy, and the text mentions it, they have plans for motivating people to buy cars that are not run by gasoline, run by fuel, right? And in Rome, due to parking and traffic problems, those smart cars that are very small, that fit 1 to 2 people, they're becoming so common. So many people decide to have those because they are easier to park, and parking can become a problem in big cities. Right? Okay, the next slide, Gabriel, please. Number 3, it says to answer the following questions in Portuguese. I encourage you guys to answer these questions in English as much as possible, since you are able to do so. But if you feel the need to express yourself in Portuguese, this is the place, right? Because it says so. So the questions were, which measures are being planned by European countries to reduce the reliance on fossil fuel? Remember, we were talking about this a minute ago. So what are European countries doing to make people depend less on fossil fuel? And B, why is the Brazilian city of Salvador cited in the text? Okay? I'm sure you guys answered it. But let's see the answers. Gabriel, next. Here we have Guilherme's answers. Guilherme, thank you very much. So that you guys can see that homework has been done by one of your fellow mates. And this is the role model, the example to be set. Come on, you guys, do as Guilherme did. Fantastic, Guilherme. I totally understand your handwriting because it does look like mine. So I could understand, okay? But there you have it. 8 words with their synonyms and their translations. So he had propelling, right? Which is to impulse something. He had tipping point, right? Which is when you get to the highest place in a curve, you get to the tipping point, which is when it starts going down, right? So the tipping point is the highest point when you start curving down. He had stepping up, which is to start to do something, to present yourself to do something. Come on, step up to the answers, bring the answers, okay? He had waste, and waste is a big problem for big cities, right? So whatever you don't use, whatever ends up in garbage, whatever exceeds the amount you need becomes waste, right? So when I buy more food than I'm able to eat, I'm going to have waste. Doubling, which is to have anything times 2, right? So you're doubling it. Addressing, which means to cover a certain topic, right? When I say politics are going to address the overpopulation, I'm saying that politics are going to cover this topic. They're going to consider this topic, okay? I have taxes, which is whatever you pay for the government, right? The fees you have to pay. And finally, I have backing, which is supporting. Guilherme, you live in my heart. Thank you so much. And I hope you guys can do this as well, because it's so much more interesting to go over your answers than having my own answers, okay? Great job. Gabriel, next. So this is the answers to number 3. As you guys can see, I didn't really quite organize the slides for Guilherme's answer to join in. But the reason is because I just got his answer early this morning, and I was so excited that I didn't want to waste the opportunity to show it to you. So I ended up putting in the wrong position there. It should have been a couple slides up, but that's okay. I hope it's okay for you guys. Anyway, so the answers to number 3, the one about what the European countries are doing to help reduce the reliance on fossil fuel, it says Grã-Bretanha, how do you say that in English? Great Britain, Denmark, France, and Germany and Norway are planning the prohibition of sales, the prohibition of sales of cars that are run by fossil fuel, right, in the next decades. In Spain, Madrid, 24 streets are being reorganized to accept only pedestrians, no cars. And in 2020, the cars are going to have to hold a distance of 500 acres from downtown in Madrid, right? I don't know if you guys have ever visited Florence, but in Florence, because it's a historical city in Italy, and it's so small and the streets are so tiny, there are some streets that only the cars from residents can run. So if you are a tourist, you can't go by these streets. And when you go there as a foreigner, even though the signs are there, sometimes it's so complicated to get your way around the city because you have to avoid certain streets, certain times of the day. But it's interesting to see that we can already experience cities where the amount of cars has exceeded the capacity of the city, right? But anyway, and also in Italy, all vehicles run by fossil fuel will be banned from downtown Milan until 2029. What do you think about Fortaleza? Do you think we are getting close to reaching this tipping point when cars will have to be controlled? You know, São Paulo already has some measures, some policies for controlling the cars in the streets, right? Otherwise, it's impossible to drive because there would be so many cars that the traffic jams would be constant. And even with these policies, traffic jams are still constant in São Paulo, right? And finally, why is Salvador cited in the text? It says, because the government is offering to builders a discount on taxes over the property if they use sustainable technologies and if they reduce the emission of pollutants, right? So if they can decrease the amount of pollution, they're going to have their taxes reduced. Okay? This is why Salvador is in the text. Okay, you guys, I hope you did your reading, and I hope you got to do your activity. Okay? If you have any questions on the correction, please let me know. And if I'm talking too fast or too slow, if you're not understanding, also let me know. Okay? So this covers our homework. And let's move on. Gabriel, next slide. Patricia, everything under control? Okay, perfect. So anyway, throughout this discussion, throughout this text, the book suggests that we hold a discussion. It suggests that you create a group with your colleagues to discuss the problems and possible solutions to the future of our cities. You can start by discussing the following 2 questions. And these 2 questions I want to see answered on our web page, okay? I want to hear you guys, okay? The questions are, what are some of the most urgent challenges that cities face today? And what can you do to help achieve this goal? So one question is very wide, right? It's what is the most urgent challenge, the most urgent problem that needs to be addressed in big cities. But the second one, it's not so wide. It is a much narrower view on the topic. Is what we can do ourselves to help achieve this goal. So maybe what we can do is very little compared to the size of the problem, but still, it is what we are able to do now, okay? So consider the challenge, and then consider what you can do to help. I'm going to give you guys 1 minute to answer this on that Padlet, okay? So I'm going to show you the web page again. Those of you who have used it already, I'm sure you have it open. So just make sure you answer the challenge and what you can do to help. 1 minute. Gabriel, tu pode botar naquela tela que tem aquele endereçozinho de novo, voltando alguns slides. Perfect question. You can access this QR code or this address, and it's going to open a web page for you, and there you're going to have the opportunity to type down your answers, okay? Let me know if it doesn't work. I'm going to leave this on for 20 more seconds, and then I'm going to switch to the page where your responses will be, okay? Gabriel, tu bota lá na página. I have one answer. No, I had one more vocabulary, right? I'm going to address that as well. Okay? Guys, if you... I got a blank answer. Come on. If you need to get back to the code, let me know. Okay? There it is. Gabriel, só a tela, deixa só a tela. Me tira, deixa só a tela. Patrícia, não disseram? Come on. 2 simple questions. What are the problems big cities are facing today? The urgent problems. Yeah, I got a perfect answer here. Okay. And what can we do to help? What can we do to help solve the problem or can help the solution of the problem? You guys, come on, you guys. It's a discussion. Don't make me feel so lonely. I'll give you 30 extra seconds. Vou mostrar o código de novo. Okay, we're going to get back to the QR code, okay? There you go. Gabriel, you rock. guys. Great job. Great answers. If some of you are still typing, I'll wait for that. I'm just going to start reading the responses I've got, okay? First, to be honest, there was one answer for the first exercise that I didn't read before, and I want to read it now, okay? Someone wrote here that the vocabulary they chose was the word waste, and then the synonyms would be dissipate and throw away, and the translation would be desperdício, desperdiçar. So perfect, okay? Thank you for answering. And now, as for the problems of the big cities today, I have an answer that says pollution, violence, etc. And to help solve the pollution problem, we could drive less, walk more, stop littering. Fantastic, right? We do drive too much. This is one thing that every now and then I talk to my family. Sometimes you go to, I don't know, a restaurant, you go to the mall, and you see so many cars. You're like, oh my God, this is going to be crowded. And then when you enter, it isn't crowded, because probably people are going, each one driving their own car. So you have like a car per person, or a car every 2 persons, right? So we get a number of cars that really exceed the number of cars we would actually need, just because everyone wants the commodity, not the but someone wants the comfort of driving their own car, right? Perfect. And now we have the bikes. Do you guys like bike riding in the city, especially on Sundays when they have those lanes? Okay. Next, I have pollution emission, social disparities, increase of the production of waste. To help solve pollution, we needed sustainable acts, ask for sustainable policies. And I saw something about social disparity, but I couldn't read it, okay? But perfect answer. We also have population growth without basic resources. To help, we could build quality public homes and schools. You guys, fantastic. We also have pollution, unemployment, slums, floods. Fantastic. Unemployment, especially now, right? With all this crisis, even though unemployment is a problem our country has faced for a long time. Very nice answer. And number 2, what we can do to help. Do everything to take care of our city. Sustainable acts, avoid pollution, and help those in need. Social disparities, violence, pollution. Yes. Then I have the hard routine that leaves no time for free activities and cause a lot of mental issues like stress, anxiety, and depression. Everybody should come down sometimes, go to a psychologist, just come down. Fantastic, and so important, right? The time we're facing and the time we're going through. Maybe this is a bit autobiographical. Like, do you feel that sometimes, that you're being demanded too much? Right? I know you guys as students are facing a hard schedule of classes. I understand you guys, and as a society that's also a problem. You're right. That's why people are talking so much about mindfulness nowadays, right? It is so important to have time to relax your mind, do things you like, have your hobbies, and avoid stress. And once I read about the fact that due to the internet, we no longer have the feeling that there is a time to stop. When I was a child, there was a time when even television would stop. There would be nothing on. And then you knew the day was over. There was nothing left to do. People would be sleeping. Television wouldn't show anything. And nowadays, due to the internet, you know that while you should be sleeping, there is a world of things happening. And this gives us the sense that we can never stop. And this can be quite stressful because you don't have the time to wind down, right? Fantastic, important topic to be addressed. Lives in the city can be extremely stressful, and stress causes violence, sickness. So very good topic to be addressed. I have one more answer here. It talks about traffic jams, agglomeration of garbage. We have to encourage the population to walk more and to go cycling. And about the garbage, the people should recycle more. Very good, guys. I believe I have covered all the answers. Good. I love it when you guys answer. So leave this on, because until the end of the class, whenever you feel the need to say something, to ask something, or to give me an answer, you can just type there, and I can see it straight. Okay? I can see it right there, right then. Perfect, guys. I loved it. Gabriel, can we go back? Okay. Okay, go on. Okay, so we're getting to our break, to our half. Yeah, go on. Go on one more. Okay. Guys, I see that you had a QR code to help on this discussion with a podcast. If you have the time and you feel the urge to do so, after class you can listen to it, okay? We're just not going to do it today here, but you can do it on your own, okay? And anyway, continuing on the topic, you have there 4 pictures of 4 cities, 4 big cities. And I'm going to have to get closer because I can't really read what it says. But I know one of them is in Tokyo, Japan, which is the most populated city in the world. The other picture shows the skyscrapers in Shanghai. The other picture shows Mexico City, right? And the last one shows Rio de Janeiro. 4 very different cities for very different reasons, right? Run by different politicians and with different organizations. But anyway, they are 4 very populated cities. Of course, Rio is not the most populated city in Brazil, but it's there. So, as you see information about these cities, you can discuss what follows. And this is just for you guys to think as we go to the break, okay? The image and their captions present the staggering situation of crowded life in some of the most populous cities in the world. Would you like to live in any of these cities? Why? Why not? Are there more benefits or drawbacks to living in big cities like these? If you live in a big city, your life will be increasingly affected by the ever-growing population. What do you think about it? After discussing the subject in class, write a composition explaining why living in an overcrowded city is a very different experience than simply visiting one. So, if you feel that you can write a good composition on this topic in English, I'll be happy to get your compositions for next class, okay? And I promise I will correct it, I will comment on it, I'll give you suggestions on it, so you can write about the difficulties of living in big cities and why it is different to live in one and just to visit one, okay? Let's stop for a while now, let's take a break. Go to the bathroom, have something to eat, and we'll be back. If you feel the need to ask any questions to be addressed after the break, just type in the chat or type in our page, okay? Thank you very much. I'll see you in a couple minutes.